Hello everyone, this is my game development channel where I do game related coding and show you how to demonstrate or how to, if you're trying to make a game and you're trying to learn how to do certain things, I usually do some of that stuff. So today we're going to get into entity units and game objects. I'm going to show what I've done. I did a lot of stuff on here. I had to create a whole bunch of textures, whole bunch. Now this will look like a lot. There's like grass to rock, like rock to grass. Now the reason why it's like that, because I want the bars to transition to different nodes. As you can see here, if it's water, this blue thing here, and there's actually a selected index here. I'll tell you what that is in a second, but basically I want to transition from like a dirt node to water, so I've made textures for each type. See how they blend to each other, as you can see here. Even the vertical and the horizontal. There's horizontal and vertical textures. Here's a vertical. There's a whole bunch of verticals. Then you'll see the horizontal. There's my selected node and stuff like that. So I can actually add on to this. So if I want to do like 4 lines, I can do 4 lines and they'll work exactly the same way. Exactly. So there's 4 lines. See, it's like the same, it's nothing different. It's more stuff on the screen. I'll leave it as 4 for now. Alright, now there's an entity unit. I'm going to get that in a second, but I've done a lot of coding here. It goes up to 443. There's a lot of coding here. There's... Okay, that's in the previous episode. This is in the previous, but I add some stuff here like a line index. It does a random generator depending if it's a vertical or horizontal line. There's 2 images, so it does a random number from 0 to 1, and it chooses those 2 images. That's a little complicated. And it also stores the x and y value. That's what this index is about. So if I want to bring up a 0, 5, it'll go through each list and it'll go through this index until it finds 0, 5. And it shows the map type. Map type is actually using a random generator. It goes from 0 to rock. Rock is the highest value on my enumerator. And the position. There's the position stuff. I add a couple things here. Nothing a lot. This is how I get the map entry from a from an x and y coordinate. So it looks through, I store the line index, and this is how I get the line index from my x and y. So if I want to get some value, that's how it gets it. This is get map position, that's normal. Now this thing coming up to update map position is a little complicated. This draws the vertical lines and the horizontal lines. See here, I store the texture. Then I use a method called get horizontal texture. Now it checks the current entry, which is this one here, which entry it's on right now, but it's also going to check the entries above it, ahead of it, and below it. This is the one on the right side. It's going to check the right texture on the right side, and it's also going to check the texture below it, or not the texture, actually the entity or the map entity below it, and the map entity to the right side. So it's gonna be something like this. Here's all my textures and stuff. So if it's gonna search for an item, it's gonna check. Let's get rid of that. So it's gonna check for, if this was the main entity, it's gonna search that one. But also it's gonna check the one in front of it, and it's also gonna check the one below it. So it's gonna check that one, see if it's the same or not. If it's not the same, it's gonna do a random line index number and put that image there. But it's also gonna check the one below it when it's doing the vertical line and the vertical texture. So that's how it works. It's a little complicated, but it works nicely. It also checks if the texture is empty, because when it tries to sometimes if it reaches the very end, it can't check the one ahead of that one. Like if it's at the very right side. Actually, I'll load this up. So when it reaches to this one, it's not going to check the right, because if it does, it's going to show up as an empty texture. So that's why that line is here. It's also the same if it's on this very last line. It's not going to check these bottom ones because they're going to show up as empty. So that I had to put this in here to make this thing work. And it's going to check if they're visible. Now, if they're not visible, currently the one it's on or the one ahead of it, it's not going to even bother to do this. Then it puts a position depending. This is the vertical line. No, this is horizontal line, excuse me. And it's going to position the little square texture between each node. Same for the vertical. It's going to make sure it's between those two things, but it's also centered to the circle node thing, circle thing. So that's how that works. It's not too hard, but also change my sprite batch. I'm using a Z order, a draw order, because I want my circle thing to appear above everything else without having to make another draw call. So I'm using like a Z order draw call kind of thing. So this thing is actually appearing above the other textures. So I don't have to make another draw call. What else? Get random objects. This is a little complicated. It's really simple, but it is a little complicated. How this thing works is I'm using it through a numerator through here. So when I get the texture, it actually requires a map texture ID, but some of these textures have two textures. Because I want to keep it a little random, not like generic or what you see is what you always get. Like if you really look at my texture, sometimes, let me find one here. Like right here, where my mouse is, you see where the dirt and the grass is a little on the left side. Okay, that one's the same. I'm trying to find one that's not the same. Dirt. Here's a good example. From the sand to the dirt, and the dirt to the sand. Right here where my mouse is. See how it's different? It's not always the same. Like on this side, it's like on the left side, more on the left side. And on this side, it's more on the right side. That uses the line index random number generator. So it's not always the same. But for me to make this thing work, I had to make a special method called get random object. So it puts the two objects in here, and it'll get the random object from that, which actually requires a line index. So if the line index is 0, it's going to use the first one. It's going to use this one. But if it's not 0, it's going to use that one. So that's how it works. It goes through each one. If it's a sand, but if the one ahead of it is a sand, it's just going to do that. But if it's not, it's going to see, is the next entry a dirt? Are you a grass? A rock? So it's going to do that. This does it for, there's another one for, this is for vertical. There's another one for horizontal. Here's the horizontal one. But basically the same thing, but this for horizontal textures. I also put this in here. This might be more like a utility. I'm not really used for this class, but it checks if the texture is empty. And here's my draw call. Look how small the draw call is. Very small. And here, this is how I get my selected index and how I update my map entities. So how I get the selected index is very simple. I could do this through an if statement, but I'm doing it this way. It's basically the same way as an if statement. Here's the true part, and here's the false part. So basically, it's going to go through each texture. And if one of them is selected, if the I loop is the same as the selected index, it's going to set that one as true, as the selected one. See, that's how it works. Doesn't matter if and I also put a thing here so I can refresh the map, so it's different each time. So it doesn't matter which one it is. It's going to select whatever is selected. And how that works is, it's really simple. So when I do my collision hit on a node, on a circle thing, I also put the selected index as that index. And each time it goes through, it puts, I don't know how to explain this, but basically it's the same as a for loop, but I made this as a for each loop. So I can just store the selected index depending what node is selected. So there should be a break here, but I'll leave it as that. And the thing I haven't got into yet, but I have to, is pathfinding. I'm probably going to do A-star pathfinding, since my map is so small, and it'll be probably like this size, and that's pretty much it. So I have to get into that. I don't know a lot about A-star pathfinding, so getting into that stuff. And this is how I load my content. Simple. Now I'm getting into the units. I'm going to do a lot of coding here. I have made the unit entity already. If you watched my previous episode, it showed me how I set up my classes. Which is very simple. Let me stop this. I get a texture, I get a position. This is a little different from what I usually do because it's a unit. Now I store what type of unit it is. Is it a... Now the reason why none is here is because if you're a civilian or a runner, you don't need any of this extra stuff, so I just put none. So there's a spy unit. I can show you my guys if I can find them. They're here somewhere. Here they are. So there's my little gun guy. There's our Bakuza. Bakuza? I can't speak today. There's that guy. I got a spy unit. I got a raider guy. So there's all those guys, and there's a civilian guy as well. Now what I'm going to do in this episode, I'm going to line the texture of the guns and the rocket thing and the goggles and the backpack onto the unit. So it's gonna be a lot of stop and starting my code to see if it's right and all that. Now I did a little bit, so I get the unit texture. Now if you are a unit or also you're a runner, you're gonna be this texture. But if you're a civilian, you're gonna be this texture. Basically, it's very simple stuff here. Same for what type of item you have, radar, spy, and the position. The reason why I'm doing the position in here because I have to line the items to the character, and this part is not going to be fun. So I made a special method to store the X and Y to the gun on the person, which is actually in here. If you're a unit and you are not none will only be for civilians. So if these two match, it's going to go in here, get the texture. It's also going to get the item, or set up the item position. I haven't done this. Make sure that's in there, or it's going to get some weird effects. And I brought down the Z order a little bit so the gun is actually above the player. This might be plus, actually. I think it's plus, not minus. So it's going to be above the character, not below it. Because the gun has to be above the character, not below it. And that's pretty much it. I just have to draw the stuff onto the screen, which is like very simple. I can put this anywhere. Since I'm using the Z order, I can actually put the entity up here. I can put the entity down here. It doesn't really matter because I'm using a Z order. I'm using the front to back, so it doesn't really matter where I put it. Alright, so I think I called it unit. Draw this. That's it. Okay. I'm gonna move the character a little bit so I can actually do this. Alright, so I want the position. Vector 2. I'm gonna set it to 50 so I can actually do stuff. I'm also going to turn this off. This might create some errors. We'll see. Okay, good, it did. Alright, so... okay. Let's turn that off for now. Because I just want to play around with the characters right now. Alright, so that's not in the right position at all. So it has to go back 5, 10, looks like 20. This looks like minus 20. No, minus 15. Oops. Then it looks like mine or 10. Maybe 10. Look at that. It's right on. That was simple. I'm going to change this. I don't like where it is. So I'm going to do plus position.x plus position.y. There. So that one's done. I just can just do that. Don't need it. Okay, the next one, we're going to change. Let's close that. We're going to change what type of weapon it is. So let's go to gun. Let's load it up first. Okay, it looks like it's 5. Let's do one at a time. So it looks like it's 5. It could be wrong here. It could be 10. To me, it looks like it's 5. And it looks like it's 5, 10, 15, 20. Could be 20. Could be less. Ooh. 15? It's probably 10. Alright, so it's 6 instead of 5. This one's a little different. There it is. Awesome. Yep, looks good. I'm gonna get my magnifying. There's a tool thing like magnifier. Come on, where is it? I usually don't use this, but for this thing, the hell. Okay, let's bring that down. Alright, that'll do. Maybe not where I want it. How do I move this thing? How do I move this thing? This thing is retarded. Okay, I'm gonna have it like this. Zoom it like that. Start this. Okay, it's a little off. Or maybe not. You know, I'm gonna leave it. Okay, stop it. Let's turn that stupid thing off. It's driving me crazy. Yeah, I really don't need that. Alright. Okay, so this one's good. We can do the same here. I'm just going to copy it. Now this is the only part where I have to do this manually. Usually I use my code to align the textures up properly. But this is the only time I have to really do this manually once. Because when the characters move, I could just make this one big texture with the gun and the character. But I really don't want to do that because I have to have a special hitbox for them. I have to make a rectangle. So this way, when the character on the right side gets too close, I just have to have a hitbox on the character. The hitbox won't be on the gun as well. So. Alright, so radar guy is next. Now there's gonna be more items, but for now it's gonna be this for now. These type. Alright, so load it up first. Okay, it looks like it's -10. Could be -9, who knows? No, it's a little more. -15. And it goes up one more. So it'll be like -5. Yeah, that looks pretty good. All right, let's do the same. This one's done. Thank God. All right, just gonna copy this. Cool. All right, the last one, the goggles. Let's load up first before we do anything. Oh, this one's gonna be easy. Maybe. So it looks like it's -5. -5. I'm guessing no, not minus. Be like 10. Cool. It's right on there. All right. So let's do the last one. Now there's other ways you could do this, but I'm doing it this way. I can make a special class just for this. This might be moved, like the actual items might be moved in the future into a class of its own. But for now, it's going to be in here. Alright, cool. So I can do... there's a projectile thing too as well. When you shoot a weapon, it also shoots a projectile. If you shoot a rocket, it shoots a rocket also with smoke. Which is here. I made this smoke thing right here. And here's a rocket. If you shoot a rocket, you'll shoot this. if you shoot like a gun, it'll shoot this bullet, which is also I'm not sure if I put it in there, but it's going to be in there eventually. Oops. Don't want to do that. No, stop it. Okay. So we're going to do some other stuff here. Each character, they can level up. So we're going to do some private int level. I could do this all as one line, but I'm going to do it this way. Health. So there's going to be min HP, max HP, private int damage, private int defense, private int, oops. What else? I think that's it. Also, I'm going to put in here because you're going to have guys that are going to run back and forth to get more ammo. How the ammo is going to work is a little different. When a unit goes to a node or a squad or a platoon or whatever you want to call it, when it goes to a node, they're going to have their ammo as 1. So if you have like 3 gun guys and 2 rockets, two rockets on that node can combine their ammo. As for the gun guys, they'll combine their ammo as 1 on that node. Then I'll have to put something on my on the nodes. Which is the map entry, but it's a node to me. I'll put something in here in the future. It'll actually be a class, which is, you know, I can put in here. I'm gonna call ammo entity. Why not? So when the person goes, when the unit goes to a node or the squad goes to a node, it's gonna combine their ammo. I don't know how to explain it, but basically it'll be easier for the guys to shoot their guns, and I have a way to reference that ammo to something else. So if they get low, you'll see a guy run out and go back to the base to get more ammo. Okay, so what? This is gonna be a really small class. Nothing fancy here. Public int. No, public emo. Enum. Ammo type. Gun. Rocket. In the future, there'll be like grenades. There'll be a grenade guy. There will be like a motor guy and stuff like that. There'll be tanks and other stuff. Then you have guys that will need to repair your tanks. So there's gonna be a lot in the game. What you see here. But I need to get my pathfinding first before I start adding more units, and I know a way to do it, but it's going to take a lot of time. So it's ammo type, int, ammo, and that's pretty much it. That's going to be in this class, just those two. Let's go above here. There might be an update call. I'm going to put update call. This will be important. Well, that's pretty much it. Nothing has to be drawn here. It's more like a utility class for the entities. When they go to a node, a map node. So Public ammo type get turn type. That's pretty much it. And the map or the ammo entity will be in here for now. So that will store the map, the units, ammo, which is also going to be a list, because sometimes you'll have more than one type of, you'll have like grenades, you'll have guns, you'll have rockets, tank ammo, so they have to have their own separate part of the list. So that's why it's like that. What else? Make sure it's private. It is private right now, but I just like to put that in there. I don't know. That's how I like to do stuff. I'm also gonna put some other grenades. Grenades. I didn't know how to spell it, so I used Google. And what else? Tank. I'll just say tank. I know what that means. It is part of the ammo type. What else? Motor. And that kind. There. I might put, this might come in the game, this might not, but ammo, well, not technically ammo, but batteries for the radar guys. So every 5 turns they'll start running out of, they'll have to start resupplying their radar units with batteries so they can keep going. I might do that, but for now I'm gonna leave it empty. So if your radar guy runs out of batteries, you won't know what is ahead of you. I might do that. You can't see ahead of you because the radar guys show what's ahead of you, basically. Let's see here. So we're here, we got some stuff, got some update calls, got some draw calls. The equipment shows up properly. Now with the map screen, there is going to be another class. It's more based on the units. So the radar guy will show you what's ahead. I'll have to make a special class to hide and show what's ahead of the character or not. But I'm not going to quite do that quite yet. But I'm also going to put a class in here called map objects, or map object. And it is an entity. No, you know, I'm gonna leave it as map object. Now there is some stuff that appears on the nodes, like characters. Characters not considered an object in this sense, but basically, like when you go to some of the nodes have like your home base, which is that one. It's not really designed that well. And there's like bunkers, and sometimes you're in a town, so they'll show like a little town you can hide in and snipe people. There will be a sniper class, a sniper unit. I haven't put that yet, but you can have your sniper guy on top of here and shoot people that come too close. our rocket launcher guys on top of the building shooting tanks, but the tanks can destroy the building, so you have to be a little careful there. Stuff like that. Now, I don't have any... The only game object I have is this. This is considered a game object, so when you select one of these buildings, this will select this game object to be in front of it. So it shows you select the item. You can get more information on that object. Like if you send a spy to a bunker and you wait a turn, you can select the object and it'll tell if there's guys in it or stuff like that. Okay. So this is gonna be really simple. It's more, this object class does have a texture, does have a position, does have a vector 2 position. It also has a texture. And it does have a type. The only one I have is selected. And it does have event. So you can actually select the object and do events. Put this in as region events, public event, event handler, player, event, player, what did I call it? Player. Now this might not be in here in the future, but for now it is. Public void. I'm not sure what I called it. Not there. I want the same name so I don't have different stuff. So this is my map entry. Update textures, blah blah blah. So I'm trying to find my events. Here, there. Selected entry. Selected entry. Player, index player. If selected entry not equal null, bool visible, bool is destroyed. You can actually destroy buildings, like a tank can actually destroy a tower or a city. And also is visible, and also is not is destroyed. Because you can't select an item that's destroyed. Well, actually, this might be removed, because I want to, maybe if you destroy like a tower, it's going to show it all crumble, but you can still select it. But for now, it's going to be like that. As for default, this is going to be true. And by default, this is going to be false. So it is alive. And it also is going to have some health. HP. And you compare buildings, so max HP. Now to make this thing work, I'm trying to think here. Should be deselected. This new player at arcs player. Oops. That's all I should need. But I'm gonna look at my map entry. Okay, good. I don't store the selected index this way. Which I could set this one as when you select the item, it would set the selected index. Okay. But also this requires a rectangle for my collision. So when I select the item, it requires a collision. So down here we go public. Now how did I word it? I want to keep the same wording. Okay, collision. Okay, good. Public, rectangle, get collision. Return new. So let's position int position.x, comma, int, because the position is actually a float, and rectangle doesn't like floats. Okay, that's for that set. So I'm going to bracket these ones. No, I don't need a bracket. So this one is texture.width plus int position.x, comma. This is texture.height plus int position.y. And in my update call, public void update game time. It's going to update the collision. So collision is that. That's all I need to put in there. And there's also going to be a draw call, public void draw game screen. There. Now for the selected, the game logic of selected might not be a selected object, or it might be separated from what I'm going to do here. Maybe, I'm not sure how I'm going to do this, because it's an object that appears on the map entry. I know I can do this. So the selected object is similar to the map entry. When I select the entry, it's going to draw something in front of it. So as for the game object, it'll be the similar thing. So let's go back to, let's close that. Let's close this and that. So I'm going to do the same thing I have here. So we need bool is selected is false. I don't want it to be visible by default. So if, actually I don't even have to do that, because by default it is false. Is selected, and do this. Let's add another region properties for all this stuff here. So we're going public vector 2 position. Let's get return position set position. No, position equals value. We're setting up all the properties for this class. Texture. Collision. Oops. Now I could just do a get set. I don't have to put all this here, but sometimes I want to add extra stuff here. Like I wanted to do an update call when I change my texture I can do that through the properties. I'll show you an example of that in a second here. So I just finish this. Visible. So that's visible. Is destroyed and is selected. Visible is destroyed is selected. And visible. And these are my fields. So I don't need to see these right now. Good. We want public map object. Just like that. Actually, I don't need to do anything in here. So let's just close them off. Well, right now I don't need to do anything here. So I can't really do anything more right now. I showed you of a lot of the stuff that I've done today. It should load up fine. There's a little guy. I don't need to show the little guy anymore. So let's close these. So I showed you how I did a little bit of the units. Let's turn this back on. Let's turn that on. Disable that. Stop the draw call for the unit. So show you a little bit of how I did all this stuff. It's not complicated, but if you're new at game programming, it might be a little complicated because a lot of the game programming is more object-oriented programming, and if you're not used to that type of program, it might be a little confusing. But you can see it's different each time. It's never the same. So when you're playing a new level, it'll be a little different. And there'll be different events in each level. There's going to be a lot of random stuff, like when you do a different level, it's not always going to be the same thing. You won't see the same enemies. The events will be different, so if you get to a certain area, something odd will happen, like your power plant will be destroyed, or you might actually talk to the enemy and stuff like that. There'll be other stuff. So that's pretty much it for today. Yeah. And let's see here. I just want to see how big the unit looks like onto the map. Not too big. Good. And I don't want the unit to go below. Let's go 150. The unit should be above. Okay, it is. Let's go back to like to 60. Just to see this. Okay, I don't want it to do that. I want the unit to be above this circle thing. So we just go into our Z order. Alright, so I want the unit to be above the objects. So what I'm going to do is switch this a little bit. Make this 80. Make this 60. That's more better. And there'll be walking animations right now. It's just gonna be, you can see them slide across the screen. It's not bad. There's one more thing I'm going to do. I can make a special method here because I'm seeing this happen. So private private void clear selected index for each. It's very simple. For each map entry map entries entry equals false. It's going to clear all the entries and make sure when I recreate the map, I don't want this to be visible on the same area because that's going to create errors when I have nodes that have no circles on them. When it goes to a new map, I don't want that node to be selected. So before it clears them all, I want it to clear the selected index. So when I create a new map, it's not doing it. And why is that? I know I'm thinking another way. I can make the selected index as -1. Because I don't think it's this is the problem. Selected index equals -1. This might create an error. We'll find out right now. No, it didn't. There it goes. Good. So when I select something, it's going to disappear when it creates a new map, which I want it to do. Because some of these circles will be empty, and if that one's selected, it might create an error or it's going to look weird. Good. So the method I created, clear, I can actually just remove. Alright, let's see if there's anything else. I can have this in here. Actually. What the hell was it doing? Get over there. Good. Or what I could do is leave that one there. Let me find my selected. Set this one as -1 by default. Put this at the very top. So in your creates map, there's no selected index. Gonna refresh it. So when I create the map, the selected index is not appearing on the screen until I select something. Over time, I might make the selected index fade out. Maybe, we'll see. Good. Alright, so I think that's pretty much for today. It's a small It's a small episode. So, hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, don't forget to leave a like. If you have any questions, or if you have any question about programming, or if you want to get into programming, you have some questions or something like that, don't forget to leave a comment below. I will be heading out for today, and I hope you guys enjoyed this, and I'll see you in the next one. Take care.